Oh, that's really zoomed in. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie B and I read a lot of books. I did this last time. I've done another book in like a day. To be fair, it wasn't actually a particularly long book and it was very easy to read, very page-turny, so there's a reason. This one is The Favour by Nicki French, which is a husband and wife duo. Don't write under the name Nicki French. It's Nicki something and Sean French. I know that. I've got a series in here. I'm not sure if you can see it. Yeah, you can see a little bit of it just at the edge there, which is a continuation of the Monday. It goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Day of the Dead or something like that. That's the Frida Klein series that I've got back there. So I did the first book of that a while ago, really enjoyed it, and then I don't remember giving it away, but I think I must have done because I can't find the book, but then I found the rest of the series for like 20 quid and it was just like, hell yeah. And then at some point I have to get the first book back because I have a feeling that's going to be a series I'm going to enjoy. But yeah, this one is The Favour. It says, a good deed can turn deadly. So yeah, I will just get in with that blurb for you. When Liam unexpectedly turns up in Jude's life after 10 years of no contact, asking her for a favour, she just can't say no. He was her first love, and even though she is now a successful doctor and about to get married, he will always be someone special to her. But after she does the favour, she is contacted by the police, informing her that Liam has been found dead, and suddenly she is caught up in a murder investigation. And she realises this one decision could cost her everything, even her life. I couldn't put it down. As I said, I did it about 24 hours. I finished one book, I started another one on the sofa, and then the next day I did a little bit of it on my lunch break, and then just sat on the sofa and finished it when I got home from work. It was just so good. But yeah, so the beginning of this book starts off with kind of a prologue where you see Jude when she was a teenager with her then boyfriend Liam, and you see them in a car crash. They've come home from a party, they've all been drinking, and Liam is asked if he was driving. He says he was, and basically it makes his life fall apart. Jude's life after the crash, she continues with her studying in medicine, she's trained to be a doctor, and it cuts to 11 years later, where Jude is now a doctor, she's working in a hospital, she has a fiancé, and she's getting ready to get married. At the end of one of her shifts, she gets a message from her fiancé to meet for breakfast. While she's coming out, he's going into work, and so that's their time of like meeting, like while she's on her way home to go to bed. He's starting his day, and then Liam, the teenage boyfriend, turns up from 11 years ago, who she hasn't seen since the time of the crash. He turned up and says, can we grab a coffee? And so she fobs off the fiancé and says, really sorry something's come up. And she goes and sits down and has a coffee with her boyfriend from 11 years ago. And he sits down and says, thinking about, yeah, will you do a favour for me? And she goes, sure, I'll do you a favour. And he asks her to drive up to a cottage in his car with some of his things in it. And he says he'll meet her there later on. So she drives up kind of in the middle of the day-ish, and he's supposed to join her at about 9 o'clock at night or something at the cottage. And she's just there going, so what is this for? He's just like, I'll talk to you once we're at the cottage. So as far as she's concerned, the drive up isn't the favour, it's whatever else he is going to ask her. And so yeah, she lies to her fiancé, says that she's going to go see her dying grandmother, which was one of her mistakes that she makes during the course of this book. But yeah, that's the first one that kind of kicks everything off, by lying to her fiancé about where she's going, because she's just like, will he understand if I said that I'm doing a favour for an old friend? And I'm just there thinking, well, if you put it like that, then probably. But no, she gets nervous about actually saying who she's going to meet, and so she just lies and says, yeah, I'm off to see my grandma, you don't need to come with me. when really she's going off to this cottage to find out what this favour is. And when she gets there, obviously it's like this rundown cottage, she goes out and buys food and things, and people are saying like, oh, that place is empty, it's been empty for a long time, and she's there going, why are we here? And then she gets Liam's bags out of the boot that she's taken because he's going to join later, and she realises that his phone is in the bag and other important things that you'd think he would want to have on him, like his wallet. And she realises there's a phone call coming to that phone, and she answers the phone and realises, oh, maybe I shouldn't answer this. And then after going to the train station to go get him, because he's supposed to come up on the train and he doesn't get off the train, she gets very, very confused, because she was just like, oh, has he just, his phone was in the bag, maybe it was an accident and he's just going to be on the next train up, which is in the morning. So she goes back to the cottage, and then she gets a call from the police, and she's going, this is Liam's phone, and just like, where are you? And she's like, I'm in this cottage about an hour out of London. And they're just like, wait there. So she gives them the address, they come up and they say, Liam's been murdered. He was murdered last night. So this was the night that he was supposed to join her. And it all happened so quickly. I love it when it really it gets straight in there with everything. You see her at the hospital, because obviously it starts off with the story about the crash, then it cuts to her in the hospital. It's established very quickly her relationship status. You go and see her sit down with the ex-boyfriend, admit to this favour, and it all happens very quickly, so it really does just lay the pace for the rest of the book, which is, it does feel very quick. But then after that, everything spirals, because she was up at a cottage with a guy's belongings who she was supposed to meet, and so everybody assumes that she was having an affair with Liam. She stands by the fact that she has not spoken to him in 11 years. He popped out of the blue, asked her to do a favour for him, and she just felt compelled to say, yes, I will do you a favour. Because he admits in that conversation when they go at the end of her shift, because she's there going, it's not something like bad, is it? And he's there going, no, I'm not going to ask you to do something that's wrong. That's the word that he uses, wrong. So she's just like, oh, so that's fine. Now thinking about it, it's just like, technically you did ask her to do something wrong. Because we got to the end of the book and you realise what the favour actually was, and you're just like, yeah. When you realise just how everything kind of clicks together, and how relevant the car crash is from when they were teenagers, it straight away just her life starts falling apart, because after she's spoken to by the police, the information about her gets leaked to the press very quickly, because originally it just seems like it's just a random stabbing in London, and then they realise that actually no, the girlfriend is up here. Like, the ex-girlfriend, has she been sleeping with him the whole time? Is this like an affair gone wrong type thing? But she's got an alibi because she was in the cottage the whole time. Like, there wasn't enough time for her to go to London, stab him and come back again. She's been with his phone the whole time. So she's like a suspect, but not, because they know she couldn't have done it. But then they don't actually know who did, and they keep coming back to Jude, talk to her, and then Jude keeps inserting herself into Liam's life because she's trying to work out what the hell happened, because she was just like, he was supposed to join me, he asked me to do a favour for him, I've no idea what's going on, and now he's been killed, and I feel like I've been put in the middle of this massive mess. And so in trying to figure it all out, she sees people from her past, from when the crash happened when she was a teenager. She suddenly becomes embroiled in Liam's family life and the house that he had, because was he married to Danny? I'm not sure if it's supposed to say that they're married. Or are they married? But they've got a kid together, and they live together, and there's other people in the house as well. It's kind of like a house share. And Jude turns up to that house, trying to offer kind of a little bit of closure as well. But in his will, he left his own brother and Jude as executors of the will, and so it's like every single time Jude tries to find a way out, she's brought back in again. And I felt really frustrated for like every single time she tried to leave this bloody house, Liam and Danny's house, something always brings her back into the house again. I know I say that like when it comes to like titles, I like stuff that's quite versatile, and with this one, the word "the favour," there's a couple of favours that happen, to be fair, but it's just like that road trip implied on the front cover. I think it goes to the crash, and also the amount of times that Jude finds herself in the car on the way to that house. It's near her hometown, and so there's a point when she's living with her parents, because obviously with all the investigations and stuff, and the fact that it seems to be embroiled in this murder mystery, essentially, she's given time off work. They're just like, look, you're going through it, you've met somebody who's been murdered, obviously you need to have some time off. She's given 2 weeks off. The majority of this book happens during that 2 weeks that she is off from work, where she goes back home. She then rents a flat for a little bit, which has a cat that she's looking after. The cat hates her. She's not a biggest fan of the cat either, but you just see her constantly turning back up at this house trying to sort everything out, especially when it comes to being an executor of the will, and she has no idea what she's doing. Like, she had no idea she was an executor. She was never asked to do it, and so she's thrown in at the deep end and is forced to find out so much about Liam's life in the 11 years since she knew him. Yeah, it was so good. There were times when I wanted to throw the book across the room because it got really frustrating at times, mainly for whenever she was in the house, really, because as well as Danny, the girlfriend, wife, and their son, Archie, they've also got about 4 other people living in the house, and Jude, whenever she goes into the house, it's just like, this feels like a place that has no rules. It's very like la-di-da. She doesn't have a good feeling whenever she's in that house, and the way she's embroiled into that family, as it were, and the way they keep bringing her back, it's just, I just felt really frustrated for Jude with the way that every single time she tries to leave, they go going, oh, wait, no, we want you to do this, we want you to do this, and then there's a point when her bag goes missing as well, and she's forced to stay there trying to find it, and then there's points when everybody's just ignoring the child, so Jude's there going, I feel a responsibility to find somebody to look after the child or do it myself, especially when it comes to Liam's funeral, because it's supposed to be like a celebration of life, and she turns up in grey, and as does the inspector who's looking over the investigation. And I've been to funerals where it's supposed to be more of a celebration, like wearing bright colours rather than wearing black. And when Jude goes, she's just like, oh, I kind of hoped to be a bit more muted, you know, I don't want to stand out, but actually she stands out because she's the only one not wearing colourful clothes. So it's that point where you're just like, you don't want attention on yourself, but at the same time, by going against the grain, you are making yourself stand out. And so, yeah, it's very interesting to see Jude's mentality throughout the book of how she feels about the fact that Liam turning back into her life has just completely turned everything upside down. Because there are so many assumptions about her relationship with Dylan, the ex, it puts her own relationship in jeopardy. Because he doesn't trust that she hasn't been sleeping with Liam the whole time. And she's just there going, look, do you trust me? Do you believe me when I say that nothing happened? Yes, I lied to you when he first turned up and when asking me for the favour, and yes, I lied to you when I went to visit him because I didn't know you'd understand. But I'm being completely honest with you when I say I actually haven't seen this man in 11 years. And at this point, you know, do you forgive me? And if you don't, then this might be the point when we need to part ways because I don't know how we're going to get through this. That you just puts that relationship in jeopardy, and then she leaves to go back to my mum and dad's house, and she goes up to sort out the will, basically, and figure out what she needs to do there. Her own brother's an accountant, so he steps in and gives her some advice and saying about, like, how Liam's finances aren't great. And yeah, you just see Jude just being thrown into the life of somebody she hasn't known in such a long time, to the point where she knows more about Liam's life than she does her own at that point. But yeah, it's quite impressive how everything turns because of one drink with a friend where he asked for a favour. I remember as it got to the end, I was getting a bit confused because I was just there thinking, so what? I was trying to understand it all, and then there was one section that I had to read a couple of times to really understand what was going on. And as I thought, it did come back to the crash partly into how Jude was dealt with Liam coming back into her life. You realise there is a reason why she accepted to do the favour for Liam. And I also had a bit of a guess as to who killed Liam. I got the who right, I just didn't get the why, because there was a certain point where it's just like, I have a feeling I know what this is about. And then when it came out who it was like, oh, I got that bit right, but I didn't get the rest of it at all, which I should have seen coming based on the interactions with the people in the house, in that house share with the family. And there's so many points when I was just like, there were points when I wanted to hug Jude, there were other points when it's just like, girl, you need to get a grip, you need to just go home and just let somebody else deal with this. But then every single time she did try to, somebody else would just pull her back in. But yeah, whew, it was a lot. But it was like 400 pages, not even that, because everything else in it. I put it at about 370 maybe, 380 pages, and I'm quite a fast reader anyway, so the fact that I did this in like less than 24 hours is quite impressive. Never compare your reading to mine. I was always quite advanced when it came to reading. Like when I moved up north, I was just like, oh, I've read all those books, and then they'd be going, no you haven't. I'm going, yeah I have. And then by the time I was in year 3 and 4, they were just like, oh, we know you've read everything, we'll send you down to the year 6 books. You can start reading those, Deb, while everybody else did on this one. It's in contemporary crime and thriller, detective, family saga, and romance and psychological fiction. I wouldn't really put it as romance. There is a moment in there where you wonder if a bit of a romance is happening, and then that gets turned on its head, so it's more of a manipulation than a romance, I'll just say that. I just very much enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to reading more Nicki French books. It's Nicki, Gerard and Sean French. I couldn't remember Nicki's surname at first. But yeah, so it's a husband and wife team that write under the name Nicki French. As you can tell, a lot happens in this book for what is essentially not that long of a book. A good deed can turn deadly. It's like, yeah, she just was happy to do this favour for him as kind of a thank you and a sorry for what happened in their past. And yeah, it just completely turns everything on her. It does cost her everything. It costs her sanity, it costs her relationship, it's on the edge of affecting her job as well. And so, I mean, she's put on leave for 2 weeks because of the death of Liam. So everything comes back to Liam asking for that favour over coffee and her decisions that she made in regards to who she didn't let know what was happening. But it does also make you think that maybe if she can't trust her fiancé to react in a good way, maybe there's some other questions you need to ask about that relationship. Whew. So many thoughts, so many feelings, because I finished this last night. But yeah, The Favour, Nicki French. There's even somebody on the front, Erin Kelly, that said, I read it in one breathless sitting. It was close. It was really, really close. I just loved it. It was just edge of your seat stuff. And just whenever she went into the house, I was just there going, no, you're never going to get back out again, because everybody in the house is insane. But there's a point when she almost develops a friendship relationship with somebody who lives in the house, only to find out that she has been manipulated. And I'm not going to say too much more because I am bordering on spoiler territory there. I will say it comes back to the crash in regards to why she felt compelled to say yes to the favour. It was so good. Edge of your seat, proper psychological murder mystery. Yeah, just everything. And it did have some actually kind of funny moments in there as well, when she's talking with, like, when you look at the relationship with her parents and her friends, but then also realising that there's stuff from her past that she hasn't even shared with her friends from the hospital and things. So yeah, it's almost like she's got like this double life almost of kind of like her as a youngster and then her now. Yeah, I feel like I'm still processing it. Nicki French, The Favour, just so good, so good. I am looking forward to reading more Nicki French books. Thank you to Jen Campbell for telling me that I should continue reading these. Well, not telling me, it's telling the world to read Nicki French, because after reading Blue Monday, I then started like binge watching Jen Campbell videos, and so many times she talked about the Frida Klein series and how good it was, and I was just there going, I'm going to have to do the rest of it now, aren't I? After having read the first book. So that was when I got the rest of the Frida Klein books, and now I'm just reading more. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. If you do have any book recommendations for me based on what you know I've been reading, or even if it's just something where you just like, you know what, I've never seen you read a book by this person, but actually I think you might like them, go ahead, chat to me in the comments. I'll give you a like. If I'm not too busy, I'll reply back. I try to reply back to everybody where I can, but yeah, thanks. I will see you next time with another video. Stay safe, everybody. I love you all. Goodbye.